Good evening. Not enough affordable homes and not enough money to build new ones. 3 local authorities have already declared a housing emergency. And with plans to cut £200 million from the housing budget in the next 2 years, the figures don't add up.
Already, 1 in 20 people can't get an affordable home of their own. Many are living in properties that haven't been built or designed for their lives. More new builds are desperately needed, but with no more money being made available, they aren't coming quickly enough, as Vanessa Taft's been finding out.
See, if I want to go up to the cupboard here, I have to kind of straight.
Billy feels his home in Drumchapel isn't wheelchair friendly.
And it's quite hard for me to do that.
And that's not the only problem. His daughter, Amanda, sleeps here in their living room. Mould has been growing in every corner of the bedroom she should be sleeping in. She's resorted to covering her belongings, scared of water damage and that the mould will spread.
I go in that room, it's like I'm coughing constantly, so even if I go in there to get clothes out in the morning, I put a mask on to go into it I have because I'm scared in case the more I breathe it in, the more I'm going to get unwell.
Candles burn to mask the smell of mould and damp. The family regularly replace their pots and pans as mould keeps growing back in their cupboards. Their landlord, Kingsridge Cleddon's Housing Association, have started another round of repair works on the roof and are actively treating the mould. They've installed an environmental monitor and say the property is built to meet wheelchair access standards.
I don't really want to be here anymore. At the end of the day, people put us, nobody's listening to us.
In Glasgow, the site's being prepared for a 34-storey block of flats. Cost £1 million.
Historically, social housing was supposed to be a way of providing people with good quality, affordable homes. Nowadays, demand far outstrips supply. 1 in 20 people are on a waiting list for a social house. Last year, the building of over 6,300 affordable homes were started. That's down by almost a quarter and the lowest number since 2015. But housing associations are dealing with unprecedented pressures.
What we really need is sustained and consistent funding and support from Scottish Government. The research shows that social housing in Scotland has made a real contribution to tackling poverty. And that's why it's so important that we make sure the budget is there to build more of these homes that we really urgently need.
And the private sector is also on shaky foundations. Major players, Stuart Milne Homes and SJ Crawford, collapsed this year, causing industry-wide concern for the future of building new homes. Building the homes of the future means meeting strict standards and regulations. One solution used by this construction company in Glasgow is to pre-build their homes in a factory.
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, we're just doing what people normally do on site in the factory. What we can actually do is keep better control over every part of the process. The other benefit of what we do is time. Because we're doing more within the factory, we've got less time on site.
Fixtures and fittings like windows are pre-installed to minimise delays on site from things like the weather.
In terms of the delivery of those new homes, I'd like to think that people do shift to the way we do it here. It also benefits the client from a better quality product. I think constructions maybe get a bit of a stigma for not being quite so good. Doing more in the factory certainly enhances the quality of the product.
The current planning framework is seen by many in the housing sector as a barrier to building new homes, with many fearing the Scottish Government won't meet their 2040 building targets.
Home builders like this say they're committed to providing new and affordable properties that Scotland desperately needs, but they say they can't do this on their own. They're calling for the public and the private sector to better work together sooner rather than later. Vanessa Taft, STV News in Glasgow.
Well, MSPs heard from the housing sector in Parliament today. Our political editor Colin Mackay was watching. So Colin, what were they saying?
Well, the experts giving evidence at the committee this morning backed up everything that Vanessa has been reporting yesterday and today. The Scottish Federation of Housing Associations said that of the 250,000 people on waiting lists, 40,000 of them are disabled and they need specially adapted homes. The Scottish Association of Landlords warned that 22,000 private landlords sold up. They quit the system last year, leaving a gap there. And the Chartered Institute of Housing kept it very, very simple. They say that there's a crisis of housing supply in Scotland.
Representing the house building industry, it's fair to say that their vision of Scotland as a place to invest is now being impacted. We are seeing many house builders, pulling out of sites, not interested, investing down south instead of in Scotland. That's a real problem for us as a country.
Once you have that uncertainty around budget commitment, you then take that confidence away from the sector, you take momentum away. And I can only reflect on our own situation in Fife, which we're currently analysing and seeking a response from the government on. We are now holding up new build projects because we don't have certainty.
If the capital funding position improves, I will also consider the funding position for our affordable housing supply programme. That continues to be a key priority for me. All of this depends on the availability of additional funding from the UK government.
And Colin, did they have any solutions?
Well, their idea is basically that their idea of a solution certainly is that they need more government funding. The government says it doesn't have any more money. You heard Shona Robison there saying that she's waiting to see what the UK government announces in its budget next month. And she's written to the Chancellor asking him to reverse the 10% cut in capital spending. Now, if there's no more cash, then homelessness is expected to rise by a third over the next 2 years, according to research from Heriot-Watt University, leaving not just 3 councils facing a housing emergency, but half of Scotland's local authorities, half of the country facing a housing emergency.
All right, Colin, from the Scottish Parliament, thank you.